studies, I worked harder, I stayed late, I said yes to opportunities I was afraid of, I started building a life that didn't require their applause, and slowly, something incredible happened. I began to grow. While my family was still busy polishing my sister's shine, they didn't notice that I was laying foundations, brick by brick, out of their sight. They thought I was falling behind. They had no idea I was just getting started. Moving out permanently was not dramatic. There was no fight, no slammed doors, no tearful goodbyes. I simply stopped coming back. At first, no one noticed. Weeks passed, then months. My calls grew shorter, then rarer. I told myself I was busy, and that wasn't a lie, but it wasn't the whole truth either. The real reason was that for the first time in my life, I was breathing freely. And once you taste that kind of freedom, it's very hard to willingly walk back into a place where you were taught to feel small. I poured everything into my work. After university, I took a job most people would have overlooked. Long hours, modest pay, high expectations. It wasn't glamorous, and it wasn't impressive enough to brag about at family gatherings, which made it perfect. No one interfered. No one questioned my choices. No one compared me to my sister. I learned fast. I listened more than I spoke. I stayed late. I asked questions others were too proud to ask. I made myself useful in ways that couldn't be ignored. Within a year, my responsibilities doubled, then tripled. By the time I was promoted, I didn't even tell my family. I didn't feel the urge to prove anything anymore. Their approval had lost its power over me, and that scared me at first, because when you've lived your whole life chasing validation, letting go feels like standing on air. But I didn't fall. I rose. While my sister's life unfolded exactly as planned, parties, vacations, a carefully curated social media presence, mine was quietly transforming. I moved into a better apartment. I bought my own car. I paid my own bills. Every milestone felt private, sacred, earned. Occasionally, I would hear updates about my family through distant relatives. My sister was still doing great. My parents were still proud of her, and I was still barely mentioned. Until one day, everything shifted. I received an email that changed the trajectory of my life. A multinational company, one people in my field dreamed of, had noticed my work, not through connections, not through favors, through results. They wanted me, not just as an employee, but in a role that carried authority, responsibility, and a salary that made my hands shake when I read the number. I sat alone in my apartment that night, staring at the offer letter, and laughed. Not because it was funny, but because somewhere deep inside, the version of me who was called simple was finally vindicated. I accepted. The new job demanded everything: travel, strategy, leadership, decisions that affected real money and real people. It was terrifying and exhilarating. I was no longer invisible. People listened when I spoke. They trusted my judgment. They relied on me. For the first time, I wasn't being tolerated. I was being respected. That was also around the time my family's world began to crack. It started subtly. A delayed payment here, a bad investment there, a business decision made on overconfidence instead of caution. My parents had poured years of resources into ventures that looked impressive on the outside but were hollow underneath. They had assumed stability would always be there. That success was permanent. That luck was loyalty. It wasn't. By the time I heard about their financial troubles, they were already deep in debt. Properties were mortgaged, savings drained, pride bruised. My sister, who had never needed to stand on her own, struggled the most.